Welcome to the Motor City Connected podcast. My name's Kyle Garrison, and I'm your host. And today I want to dive into the L.A Dodgers versus Detroit Tigers series this past weekend here at Comerica Park. I want to talk about the two games that I was able to go to on Friday and Saturday, and then talk about the last game before the All-Star break on Sunday. This was a really good three-game set for the Tigers to end on heading into the All-Star break, playing against a really high-powered team, one of the best offenses in the league, and they were able to pull out 2 out of 3, win the series, and just head into the All-Star break on a high note. So I just want to dive in right away, start talking about game one, the game that I was able to go to with my good friend Bobby for my birthday, and a couple of my other friends, Ian and Cole, my other friends. Shout out them for pulling up to the game as well. That was really fun, despite the loss, but it set up a really solid ending to the weekend for your Detroit Tigers. So game one, right away, we came out firing. I was thinking, this might be our series. First 2 innings, right away, the Riley Green double to center that scored Matt Vierling and Justin Henry Malloy was really nice to see. Getting those base paths moving, especially against a high-powered offense in the Dodgers, you're going to have to score runs, and that's been our problem all year. So right away, scoring in the first inning, going up 2-0 early, it gave I know Tarek Skubal a lot of confidence. It gave the lineup a lot of confidence against a really solid pitcher in who pitched for the Dodgers, in John Paxton. So, and we knocked up John Paxton for a little bit. He's now got a 4.38 ERA on the season. So we did a good job of kind of getting to him early, but he definitely settled in the next couple of innings, and it seemed to confuse the Tigers lineup. I know the second time, the third time through the lineup, I know Paxton did a lot better than the first time through the lineup. So that was unfortunate to see, because that's kind of been a theme all year, is when we get to a pitcher early, we still allow them to go 6 innings and still pitch 100 pitches, because we're just unable to produce any runs in the second and third time through our lineup. The first time through the lineup seems to be the one where we really catch fire, and then it just kind of fizzles out throughout the rest of the game. So we were able to get those 2 runs early, which was nice to see, but unfortunately, obviously, we couldn't pull out the win. We got a third run, actually. We went up 3-0 on the Justin Henry Malloy triple where Ryan Vilade scored. So we were up 3-0. We had a really good chance to win the game. Unfortunately, we couldn't produce another run in the next 7 innings and ended up losing, but we gave ourselves a chance, and we had Tarek Skubal on the mound, so 3 runs through 2 innings with Tarek on the mound. You're usually going to assume you're going to win that game, but when you're playing a team like the Dodgers, where they have their top 3 in their lineup are all stars, and then their number 3 spot in their lineup, well, their 4 spot in the lineup, in Teoscar Hernandez, he wins the home run derby. So you got Shohei Ohtani starting, then you got Will Smith, who's also who was an all-star this year for the Dodgers at catcher, and then Freddie Freeman, who's been a perennial all-star for his entire career, and then you end it with the Teoscar Hernandez at the cleanup spot. I mean, that's just a really tough lineup to get to. I know Tarek, he struggled a little bit in this one. I mean, it wasn't one of his better outings of the year, but he still was really efficient. He still went through 6 innings. He still had 8 strikeouts, only allowed one walk and 2 hits, but still had 2 earned runs, unfortunately, on the Freddie Freeman home run ball. That was their first run, and then from there, that's where they kind of started to pick it up, because they knew, hey, we're still the Dodgers, we're still one of the best power hitting lineups in the entire major league, and that's when they started picking up. In the 4th inning, they got to Tarek for 2 runs, and that brought them within 1 run, and then in the 8th, Teoscar Hernandez got the single, which allowed Smith to score, and then obviously in the top of the 9th, Shohei Ohtani hits the ground rule double that scores Taylor and eventually secures them the win, as the Tigers were not able to produce any runs in the bottom of the 9th, and they fall 4-3. So I don't want to dwell too much on this loss, just because in retrospect, I don't believe that we win those next 2 games in the fashion that we do, in the comeback fashion, if we don't lose that first game. After that first game, we were sitting at a 45-50 record with 2 more games against one of the better teams in the league headed into All-Star break, and we were able to pull out 2. So we're headed into All-Star break with a 47-50 record instead of if we would have gotten swept in that series, we would be sitting at 42-52, which would have been a really, really hard hard pill to swallow for the team heading into All-Star break, especially because we felt like we were playing pretty good ball in the last week or two in the series against the Reds where we swept them, and then we took the series against Cleveland 3-1. So getting a series win, 3 series wins in a row before the All-Star break was really huge. Unfortunately, on Friday, we couldn't pull out the win, but that's okay. It was a really cool experience to be there in general. A really cool story that I actually have from it was Freddie Freeman's family, entire extended families from Canada, and they were sitting right behind us. They had all driven down from Canada, from Toronto, to catch the game and see Freddie play, and we figured out right before he was about to take his second at bat, we figured out that Freddie Freeman's family was behind us, and we are thinking, uh-oh, this can't be good. And of course, he lines a home run right into right field, right in front of us, and their family's going crazy. We're all like, oh crap, no. It just happens. I mean, you look at Reese Olson this year when he had his family in town in the series in Atlanta. He dealt, and he had a really good game, and he had one of his better outings of the year. There's something about when your family's in front of you, when your family's in town, there's something about just the energy and, just feeling good about your support system being there for you, just allows you to play well. And Freddie ended up playing a really solid series all weekend, and it started off with that home run against Tarek Skubal, which had to feel good for Freddie, as his home run numbers have been a little bit down compared to recent years as he gets a little bit older and that power starts to dwindle. But that was a cool experience. Freddie's family was really nice. They weren't rubbing it in our face or whatever. They weren't talking crap. They were being good sports, and so were we. So that was cool just to see them so excited about their family member hitting a home run. I can imagine how that would feel if my cousin or my nephew was in the major leagues and hit a home run in a game that I was at. I'd be pretty excited too. So we lose that game. Foley gets knocked around a bit. Will Vess and Bo Brisky come in for a couple solid innings, for a couple solid outs, but just we couldn't get it done. Obviously, Shohei with the top of the ninth double. That gives them the win, and you go into the next game on Saturday after your ace is pitched, so you're feeling a little bit like, we're our one game where we're supposed to win with Tarek on the mound, we didn't get it done. So that Saturday game becomes a lot more crucial, especially, like I said, going into the All-Star break where you have a whole 5 days off before you play again, and you want to go in with excitement. You want to be happy. You want to be excited going into that All-Star break. You don't want to be thinking, we're going to be crawling our way trying to get to 500. Right now we're sitting at 47-50 going into the All-Star break, which is it's a lot better than a lot of people expected after that Friday game. So we're excited about that, and let's just dive right into that Saturday game. My first note I have is best game I've ever been to in my life. Especially after the heartbreak the night before, going to see that game on Friday and then kind of going into that Saturday game really apprehensive about buying tickets. We're thinking, it's Shohei Ohtani, it's the Dodgers, we're going to get killed. And of course they go up 9-4 late in the game. They go up 9-4. And right away we're thinking, here we go again, another Tigers game where we go down and then there's no way we come back because we can't produce any runs late in games, and that's the exact opposite of what we did. If you were able to catch the game or watch the highlights, we came back from down 9-4 in the bottom of the ninth inning. We scored a 5 spot in the bottom of the ninth to tie it up, and then obviously in the bottom of the 10th in extra innings, we were able to walk them off on a Gio Urshela home run to left field, right where me and my buddy were sitting. So it was for my birthday. That's what I attest their comeback win to, is they were excited because I was there. But nonetheless, it was the coolest game I've ever been to. Me and my buddy were just absolutely fired up after that game. Headed back to my house, and we just were speechless. We were like, "Holy crap! We just went to the best game in Tigers history." So that was really, really fun. I want to kind of dive into it, the game as a whole, and kind of go through my thoughts about it. So right away, it was cool. We sat right in front of the bullpen. Me and my buddy Bobby, we sat front row, right in front of the Tigers bullpen. So we were chopping it up with Bo Brisky and Tyler Holton and some of the bullpen guys. I talked to Coach Juan Nieves, who is the bullpen coach for the Tigers. we had never heard of him, so we were looking him up, and he was actually the first Puerto Rican-born player to record a no-hitter in the MLB, and I think it was 1986. So we brought that up to him, and he laughed. He's like, "Oh, that was a long time ago," but a really nice guy, and they ended up the next day in their bullpen day. Juan had a master class of bullpen coaching as the Tigers went the final 8 innings of the game without allowing a single run after the Dodgers put up a 3 spot in the first inning. They were held scoreless the rest of the game. So shout out to Juan Nieves on the job that he's doing with the bullpen and the job that he did with Kenta Maeda, because Kenta was absolutely lights out in game 2. But in game 3, excuse me. But enough about game 3. Let's talk more about game 2. So Cater Montero started. He got roughed up a little bit. Right away in the first inning, they were able to secure a run on a fielder's choice, but after getting knocked around a little bit in the first inning, he kind of settled in there, only allowed one run, and then in the second inning, the Tigers were able to take back the lead with a Colt Keith double to center. Mark Canha and Riley Green were able to score, but that Colt Keith ball just kept carrying. He had it right in the center field gap, right between the left fielder and the center fielder, and he just kept carrying, and it ended up rolling all the way to the wall. And Mark Canha and Green were able to clear the bases for him, and Keith came in with another RBI. Colt Keith has just looked unbelievable this year. For a guy that had struggled the first 2 months of the year pretty mightily, to see him just completely 180 it's just something that's hasn't really happened for me as a Tigers fan before. It seems like we bring a lot of young guys in, they struggle, we send them back down, they come back up a couple months later, continue to struggle, and then eventually they're just out of the lineup. If you look at like an Akil Baddoo type player, someone like that who, looked really promising at a young age and then just kind of fizzled out, Colt Keith's been the opposite of that. Obviously, he's got a lot of time left in his career, only halfway through his first season as a major leaguer, but you can just see it's night and day from his first at-bat to the at-bats that he's had in the past couple weeks. So that's been really, really nice to see. Obviously, he had the game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th, but we'll get to that in a second. I kind of just want to talk about Cater Montero's outing. I know it wasn't the outing that he had his previous start, where he just looked really locked in, and his ground ball rate was skyrocketing. It seemed like L.A. was getting to him. They were hitting they had a lot of hard hit balls. Shohei ended up hitting the home run to take the lead in the top of the 5th, and then it just kept going. Gavin Lux was able to score, Freddie Freeman and Pajes to make it 5-2, and then right around that 5-2, you're thinking, uh-oh, here it comes. Here's the Tigers, where we struggle to come back, and we can't generate run support when we're down. It seems like is the case a lot of the time, but that didn't happen. That was the opposite. In the top of the 5th, Cater got shelled a little bit. It gave up the lead. They were up 5-2. And then Ryan Vilade and Andy Ibanez come in back-to-back, both just hit homers. So Ryan Vilade hits his first home run of the career. I wanted to talk about just Ryan Vilade as a whole. He is the option. If we need to bring up somebody from AAA in the outfield, he is the option from here on out. I know Akil Baddoo was an experiment for us, but Ryan Vilade looks a lot more comfortable at the plate. He's got... it seems like Akil Baddoo, when he gets up to the plate, he just wants to smash every single ball that he sees. He doesn't ever bunt, or it doesn't seem like he's doing what's best for the team to win. And I know, obviously, Ryan Vilade gets put in situations, and AJ Hinch is telling him what he wants him to do. And obviously, Akil Baddoo probably hasn't had that before, where AJ Hinch has told him to bunt in a situation like that, and he successfully does it. So it's revisionist history, but I do think Ryan Vilade is that long-term option if we do need to bring up somebody from AAA in that outfield. So it was good to see him throughout the weekend just really, really hone in on his skills, and he wasn't trying to do too much, and he was just staying ready, staying comfortable, and that was just it was good to see. It was nice to see, as I've seen a lot of Akil Baddoo at-bats in the past, and I'm glad that it's not Akil Baddoo anymore. So that was good to see. Obviously, after the Andy Ibanez home run in the bottom of the 5th, where he smashed it to just inside of that right field pole, or that left field pole, excuse me, and we were only down 5-4, so there was a little bit of life. But then And then the top of the 6th, they score another run. Top of the 7th, they hit a home run, a 2-run home run, and it's 8-4. And then the top of the 8th, Freddie Freeman hits a sacrifice fly, and Ohtani scores. And they're just generating run support because that's what their lineup does. That's how they're built. They spent $1.21 billion this year on their bats alone. They don't care about their bullpen. Their starting pitcher, who cares? As long as that they can outscore the team that they're playing, they're gonna win games, and that seems to be what they do. And that's kind of what they attempted to do in this one in the top of the 8th. They're up 9-4, and we don't generate any runs in the bottom of the 8th, and they're sitting pretty, looking like they're gonna win the series. They're gonna head back to L.A., head to the All-Star break, and be sitting pretty after a series win against a Tigers team that started to kind of pick it up. So. But in that bottom of the 9th, their bullpen struggled, and again, their bullpen gave up a bunch of runs, and they ended up losing. So the loss ended up going to Johan Ramirez, who is a really good lefty pitcher, but struggled this weekend in both games. Actually, he gave up the lead in both games, I believe, and then actually picked up the loss on Saturday and on Sunday. Yeah, so he picks up the loss on Saturday, but I genuinely don't think it was his fault. The entire bullpen played terribly for them. The first guy that came in was Ricky Vanasco, and he got absolutely shelled. He's up to a 13.5 ERA. Yeah, he got shelled. It was a Matt Vierling double to the left field corner that ended up giving us cutting the lead 9-6 before we ended up tying it. So yeah, it was just an all-around good effort in the bottom of the 9th. I kind of want to go through it all. So yeah, Justin Henry Malloy and Wenzel Perez both get on base. I think Wenzel was a walk, and then Justin Henry Malloy hits a single that moves Wenzel over to third. So you got guys at corners, first and third, and I remember Matt Vierling walks up, and we're sitting in left field, and the left fielder for the Dodgers was shaded over way farther than he should have been. There was a massive gap between the left field wall and the left fielder, where Matt Vierling ended up just hitting a shot right between, and it ended up clearing the bases, scoring 2 more runs, and clearing the bases for Matt Vierling. And if they're not shaded over that far, as far as they were, I don't know if Justin Henry Malloy is able to score from first if they're not shaded over as far. So just a really good heads-up play by Matt Vierling, and I'm sure A.J. Hinch and the rest of the staff was telling him, hey, look how far over they're shaded. Shoot one into that gap, and you are going to be able to clear these bases. And that's exactly what he did. So at that point, it's 9-6, Dodgers still leading, and we still need a miracle. Like, we have one guy on, no outs, which is always solid, but the next two batters, they went out. So Riley Green grounded out, which moved Matt Vierling to third. It's still 9-6. At that point, there's one out, guy on third. Your chances of winning at that point aren't great, but we still had faith. We're standing up. We're getting rowdy when we were at the game. And then Jake Rogers strikes out. Just terrible pitch to strike out on. Just absolutely whiffed it. We're down to 2 outs, and that's when everyone in the stadium's like, well, it was a good effort. We tried, but it wasn't enough like it usually has been. 2 outs has not been our friend this year, except for on Saturday, because we kept it moving. Carson Kelly comes up after the strikeout. He singles. Matt Vierling scores. We're thinking, we got ourselves a game now with Vierling scoring from second, Kelly on first. Cole Keith is coming up to the plate. Me and my buddy look at each other, and we're thinking, that's that Cole Keith? Is that who we think it is? And of course, he comes in, first pitch, cutter inside of the plate, absolutely tattoos it to right field. They don't have a chance. It drops in the first row, tie ball game. Place is going crazy. I have a video of that my buddy took of him hitting the home run, and then he pans to me and all the fans, and we're going absolutely nuts. One of the coolest baseball moments I've ever seen, especially because I've kind of started to feel a little connection towards Colt Keith. I really, really like his play style, and I just like who he is as a hitter. And to see him just come up and make the biggest play of his career so far while I'm in the stands watching, it was surreal. It was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had as a baseball fan and as a sports fan. And I'm just blessed that I was able to be there. So that was awesome to see. Obviously, 364 feet, not a super long home run, but regardless, he put it in the right spot. He put it where he knows to put it, and ended up tying up the game for us. So we were hyped up about that. Everyone in the stadium. So when the game started, it was almost sold out. And at the time that Colt Keith was hitting that home run, it was about half as full as it was. There was a lot of Fairweather fans that headed out when the Dodgers went up 9-4. But I'm not a Fairweather fan. I stick around. I don't care. I'm getting my money's worth. I'm gonna have a good time, regardless if we're getting killed. I'm gonna have fun at the ballpark. So I'm gonna stay, and I'm so glad I did, because it ended up being just an unbelievable ending to the game in walk-off fashion. So, but before we kind of go into the actual walk-off itself, I do want to talk about the defensive play that led to it. So if you're not familiar with the extra innings rules in the MLB, when it goes to extras, so in the top of the 10th, after it was tied 9-9, the Dodgers, you get a free base runner that starts on second base just to kind of speed up the game. I know in the past, games would go to 16, 17 innings, and they'd end up being 5-6 hour games. So they wanted to kind of eliminate that. So they put a runner on second, a runner in scoring place, so it kind of speeds it up, and it just makes the game a little bit more exciting. So, and it's more strategic. You got to bunt in strategic spots so you can get guys over to third base. Sometimes you have to give up one of those outs to move over your guy to third base. But for the Dodgers, because they started and we still got an opportunity, they couldn't walk us off, obviously, because we were playing at home. I think they got the bases loaded with one out. I might be mistaken, but I do know they had, there was a 6-4-3 double play from Zach McKinstry to, I can't remember who was sitting at second at the point, but Zach McKinstry just made a great backhanded play, flipped it to the second baseman, who then flipped it to Gio Urshela at first, or Andy, I can't remember who was there at the time, but ended up being just an unbelievable play by Zach McKinstry to get the double play, and that's inning ending. They don't score any runs, so it's still 9-9, and we have a chance to go up in the top of the 10th with a guy on second base with no outs. And at this point, we're thinking, we should win this game. With the momentum that we're carrying over from the bottom of the 9th, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to get this runner home. That's exactly what we did. Gio Urshela just absolutely smokes a ball into left field with Ryan Valade as the runner on second, and lo and behold, that wins the game for us. Regardless, we only had one out at the time, so if Gio even hits a sac fly to left field and it's not a home run, Valade will still end up scoring. We still end up winning. But to walk it off in home run fashion while I'm sitting there in left field and that ball's flying right at me, it was just so cool to see. Me and my buddy thought we might be able to catch the ball, but it ended up squeaking a little bit left towards more of the middle of left field, and we didn't get the ball, but we got to watch it fly right at us, and eyes wide open. I'm not even like cheering. I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to catch my first MLB baseball. Didn't happen, but got to see us walk it off, and we were hyped, to say the least. And so was the bullpen. Juan Nieves was excited. Tyler Holton was excited. Everybody in that bullpen just knew how much that meant to our bats to get that come from behind victory. So that was awesome to see. I am just so glad that we stuck around, and I'm so glad that we bought tickets, because I would have been really bummed if I was sitting on my couch watching that game. So what an incredible experience, and just what a great weekend to be a Tigers baseball fan. Just let's hop in right into Game 3. You're going into that game, after that Saturday game, you either could be on cloud 9 and you come in really flat, and that's exactly what we did. We came in so unbelievably flat, couldn't even generate a run until the 4th inning. The first inning, Bo Brisky's on the mound. He starts the game, and he gives up the Teoscar Hernandez double and then the Paje single, which ends up giving them a 2-0 early lead. And then we catch them stealing, but because the first base runner was caught stealing, the third base guy was able to score still. So we ended up going down 3-0 early in the top of the first. And I was a little bit scared. I was at work. I didn't end up going to this game, but we didn't end up getting a run until the fourth inning, and when we did, it felt like we were getting so many guys on bases, and we just could not get hits. It was all sac flies or fielder's choice. The first two runs was Urshela sac fly, Keith scored. And then the next one in the sixth was Zach McKinstry grounded into fielder's choice, Riley Green scored. So we weren't getting as much action on the base pass as I was into home plate, but the first base, second base, third base, we kept filling them up, and we just could not get those runners home unless it was only 1 out or 0 outs, and we were able to get a fielder's choice or a sac fly or whatnot. But we were not able to get any RBI hits until the bottom of that ninth inning. So the fourth, fifth, and sixth were really, really frustrating. I wrote that down. It felt like we had so much just run probability. There were so many opportunities to score, and we just could not figure out a way to get those guys home. And that just seemed like the common theme all year so far. It seemed like we have just struggled to find ways to score those runners, and we eventually end up falling short in games 2-1 or 1-0 or whatnot, just because in the ninth inning we got no shot of scoring. But that was not the case in this one, and that was not the case in the day before. So after the sixth inning, it was 3-2, and our pitching was just absolutely on fire. I have not seen our bullpen pitch the way they pitched until this point this year. Tyler Holton comes in, 2 innings, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs. Just a great outing from him. I know he's struggled a little bit, but he looked so comfortable on the mound. He absolutely dealt, and then that brings in Kenta Maeda. And at that point, we're 3 innings into the game. We're down 3-0. It's like, Kenta Maeda's coming in. Is he going to be able to figure out in the bullpen? Was it a mistake signing him to that long-term deal? Who knows? But I will say I am really, really proud of Kenta Maeda. I'm really happy for him. I think that was his best outing of the year. He pitched 3.2 innings, only allowed 1 hit, had 5 strikeouts, which I don't even know if he's had 5 strikeouts as a starter this year, let alone as a reliever. And he just came in and dealt. And I think that's really good for his confidence, because he has been getting absolutely shelled as a starter. And putting him into those little lower leverage situations where you're already down 3-0 and there's not nearly as much pressure, it did wonders for him. The velo on his fastball was up, the velo on his sinker, his curveball, his changeup, everything was up. He looked like he actually was a competent MLB pitcher and looked like a guy who could provide 3 innings of relief on a bullpen day for a team like the Tigers, who the past couple of years have utilized those bullpen days, it seems like almost every other week or weekly or whatnot. So that was really good to see. And then obviously Andrew Chafin, Jason Foley both come in. Jason Foley walks a couple guys, but still gets out of the inning with a couple ground balls. And then Alex Vallejo comes in and gets that final strikeout in the top of the ninth to give us a chance to potentially come back and walk off this game. So shout out to the bullpen. Shout out to Juan Nieves for just getting that bullpen ready to go and just watching them flourish right in front of our eyes. So that was really fun to see. I know that bullpen early on in the year was the best in baseball, and the past couple months it's kind of faltered. We're right back into the middle of the pack. But seeing just an absolute masterclass from against one of the better teams in baseball and one of the best players in baseball history in Shohei Ohtani, it's really good to see. It's good to see the confidence go up for the bullpen as we head into All-Star break. So that was fun to see. And then let's just get right into the bottom of the ninth. Zach McKinstry's up at the plate, 0-2 count against what's the pitcher's name? Oh yeah, Yohan Ramirez, who lost the game Saturday. He got the loss, and then he got the loss again on Sunday after we walked it off. So he lets up a Zach McKinstry triple with 0 outs, and at that point we're only down 3-2. With a guy on third base and no outs, so we're thinking, hey, we're the best at sacrifice flies. We're the best at fielder's choice, so we should be able to get him home. And then JHM comes in, he pinch hits at the 8 spot. I can't remember who he pinched hit for, but I was thinking he might pinch hit at the 7 spot because Zach McKinstry is a lefty, and Yohan Ramirez has been really good against lefties this year. So I thought maybe Justin Henry Malloy would pinch hit at that 7th spot, but I'm glad he didn't because Zach McKinstry was able to hit a triple and get himself in scoring position. So obviously AJ Hinch knows more than I do, and he made a great decision there. So yeah, JHM comes in, pinches for that 8th spot, and he drives in a single. Right into center field. Zach McKinstry scores, and we got ourselves a tie ball game. That was the first RBI we scored in that game off of a actual hit. It wasn't a fielder's choice, or it wasn't a sacrifice fly. It was an actual base hit from Justin Henry Malloy. So that was really good to see. He's been on a heater lately. He's been really, really clutch in so many different spots this year. So excited to see just how he's grown as a player and coming in high leverage situations and not trying to smash the ball, not trying to hit a home run and walk it off right away, but doing just enough to score that runner, tie the game up, and give us a chance to actually win. So that the last couple batters of that inning were really it was just kind of a mess for both teams. But we ended up benefiting from it because those those bunts that we laid down were ridiculous. Obviously, Justin Henry Malloy is on first. Ryan Vilade lays down a perfect bunt that Johan Ramirez. I gotta remember that name. I cannot remember Johan Ramirez's name, but so he drops the bunt. We got a man on first and second. Still no outs. Wenzel Perez again. He bunts. And Johan Ramirez, I felt bad for him, man. He looked like he was struggling. He throws the ball to third base to try and tag that lead runner out, and it's way past him. It wasn't even close to the third baseman. He threw it right by him, and that ends up bringing in Justin Henry Malloy, and that's the walk-off. Would have loved to win on a walk-off hit, but who cares? A win is a win, regardless of how it happens, regardless if Johan Ramirez is solely due to blame for that loss for the Dodgers, or if we just ended up figuring out a way to win both of these games. Regardless, it wasn't a great outing for Johan Ramirez, and we were able to take advantage of it both times. So that's that. We walk off 2 games in a row. We look like a completely different team than we did even 3 weeks ago, and we head into the All-Star break with a 47-50 record. I mean, there's not really another better way to end off the first half of the season than just taking down a juggernaut in a team in the Dodgers who has the highest payroll in baseball, taking 2 out of 3 from them. Love to see it. Nobody likes the Dodgers. They're the Yankees of the West Coast. So really good to see a win there, and I know America was happy to see the Tigers come out and do some damage and come back on the Dodgers and get a series win. So that was really fun to see. Glad I was able to be there. It was a really good birthday present for me to watch the Tigers win that series. So and just to wrap it up, that's kind of all I really have for today. I just wanted to just say it's an unbelievable way to end the All-Star break. The All-Star game is on the day I'm recording this, which is on Tuesday, and that'll be up tonight. Riley Green and Tarek Skubal will be playing in that, so watch out for them as they get to work for the American League in the All-Star game. And then, other than that, I just 47-50 record. Best since 2016 heading into the All-Star break. So obviously, not a lot of fans wanted us to be above 500, but we're not, but we're close. So we're going to have at least some exciting baseball coming up after the All-Star break, which haven't been able to say in the past couple of years. And we get a couple days rest, and we hop right back into it against the Blue Jays. We're playing the Blue Jays, who are a very beatable team. And, what better way to start the second half of the season than sweeping the Blue Jays and getting back to 500? 50-50, you get to reset, and you get to go about the rest of the season as if you're 0-0. So would love for that to happen. We'll see. I'm sure I'll be breaking down some of their games in the next couple weeks, talking about them as a team, maybe even doing a little playoff outlook if they can get hot as they have been. So we'll see what happens with the Tigers in these next couple weeks. I'm hopefully gonna do some stuff on the Pistons Summer League, and I do want to talk about the Red Wings offseason. I know it was a little underwhelming, but I want to talk about the Patty Kane re-signing and kind of some of their veteran pickups that they've had. And then I also just want to talk about the Lions. I'm going to be able to go to a couple of training camp practices in the next couple weeks. So I'm definitely going to do some write-ups when I'm at camp and do a podcast for you guys, just talking about everything that I'm noticing from practice, who's standing out, what rookies look really comfortable, just kind of give a whole rundown of what's going on over in Allen Park. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Motor City Connected with Kyle Garrison, and can't wait to see you guys next time.